I was really into recording gear. I was really into technical things. I was really into even oddball companies, and I didn't know about Sound Techniques. So as I discovered it, I started pumping that name, telling people I thought the consoles were great. That's before I owned a module, before I met Geoff, and since then it's continued, and I've really had time to play with the modules. But I think it will be interesting to other companies because they've always lived so long on their reputation in their world. Here's a new company that's actually a giant among them from the records done, but now people can have freshness and newness, which I think is actually a good selling point. Instead of the same thing everyone's always used and always had, this is something new. You've got a whole new color in your paint set that no one else is using yet, and also is familiar to you, you know. I would love to have the big console. I don't know that I'll ever be able to afford it, but I always wanted to have 4 channels of Sound Techniques minimum, and now I do. I'm really happy with the fact that 2 originals and 2 new ones that are exactly as good as the originals. And if I ever decide to record more things or bigger groups, I can get more. They'll be just like what I want. This is a great discovery, the Sound Techniques history that Geoff has lived through. His name is not as well known as some of the famous names in the industry, but it should be, and I think it will be now. In fact, it's almost cooler to have been the person that succeeds later on instead of a huge peak and then you go away and people don't care. So the fact that even later in life he's getting all this attention and he's getting people to film him and talk about his memories and to realize that his choices of those transformers are exceptional and there's no one doing something like it right now. And that the other choices they made, when I showed him, by the way, one thing I love about the input is that you have these 3 choices for microphone knobs. He goes, I'd forgotten we'd done that. And I said, no, it's one of the greatest features. It's actually, instead of just having 1 choice, I've got 9 choices, which other machines don't give you. So Geoff was reminded of this brilliance of his, going back into things. And it's really cool that over time, it's come around full circle. It is fresh, it is new, but it's also tradition. And if a company starts right now making something that's quite good, it would be very hard to get them in your booth, very hard to get them to pay attention. If I can mention Freddie Mercury's vocals, if I can mention John Bonham's drums and so forth, that helps people come into it and be more interested in it. I can't wait for people to get their hands on these things to have their own experience with it. And I think they will discover something for new music. You're not copying David Bowie or Elton John, you are doing your new music. It's just a new technique, it's a new flavor, a new trend maybe, or some people use it with folk music because they love Nick Drake, and then someone doing electronic music will try and do a 9 Inch Nails album and their vocals will sound better through Sound Techniques than they've ever done before. So I really think that we've got good options to surprise people, and I'm really curious to even lend my originals out as I've done to some people and lend some of the new ones out and say, what do you think? And just turn them on to it. It's a great experience to be able to have something I can stand behind, and I think they'll discover it and have a great time with it.